And
Yeah.
now that you've mentioned it, maybe we need like a villain, the evil kangaroo.
All right, what's up, guys? We're back with another episode of the Wedgies Podcast. We're having fun with this one. We've got some friends from Australia with us this time. I think we're recording this at just after 7 a.m. our time and a little after 11 p.m. your guys' time. So kind of different for us, but we're going to have some fun. We've got Mitch and Kevin from Hazard Hunters with us today. How are you guys doing tonight, I should say?
Yeah, good. Thanks, man. Thanks for having us on. We're excited to be here.
Yeah, doing well. Thanks for having us.
Love it. Yeah, we're going to have some fun this morning for us, tonight for you guys. But to get things rolling, I think the question on everybody's mind is, obviously you guys have built something pretty cool with Hazard Hunters that we'll get into. What I want to know is, like, what's the backstory? How did you guys end up where you're at today?
I can, take that. So the backstory of Hazard Hunters really started with myself and the co-founder, Michael, who isn't with us on this call. However, he approached me and he knew that I had a background in apparel design and creative direction as well, and posed the idea to me: how do we tackle the golf market in a way where it appeals to a more youthful demographic, as well as expressing the things that we like out of streetwear in the in this particular niche, right? And um, first off, we started with the first attempt at collection number one, and it was actually pretty rough, where we had our initial designer and initial factory, and we spent 6 months essentially trying to pump out our first collection, which ended up being a flop. We weren't happy with it. We didn't end up showing that to the public. If you do look on our social media, you can find a video where it shows some of the initial designs. But we went back to the drawing board. We got a new designer and conceptualized something that would be more aligned to our vision, with new creatives on our team. And that's when we realized, this is in line and a good start to how we want to introduce the brand. And I think, as you guys know, as brands progress, over the years, they change and morph into more of what they're intended to be. And I think that's something that we're trying to do now. That's the next step, moving into season 2. So what you guys see now, if you believe it's polished, we believe that we can do better. And after this phase, perhaps you'll see Hazard Hunters in a new light, hopefully for the better. And that's been the general high level story over the past 2 or so years. And we've only been selling for around 5 months.
Well, that's I didn't know that it's only been 5 months for you guys. You guys seem like much bigger than 5 months. So hats off to you guys there. What I want to know too, just to follow up to that question, is obviously, like, background in marketing and design and some things like that. Why golf? Like, how did you guys land in the golf space specifically? What's your relationship like with the game, and did you see yourself being in this space professionally?
Yeah, so in terms of why golf, obviously from um, my previous background outside of just like design and marketing, I come from a finance background, same with Michael, and a lot of our thinking is data driven and trend driven, understanding where things are moving towards, and combining that with our interests in fashion and clothing. We understood that the golf niche was heading towards something similar to what we saw with skateboarding in the early 2000s, and um, bringing clothing to associating a sport with something that's cool, which is a way to represent yourself. And we see golf as the new skateboarding culture, if you will. And not only that, as I mentioned before, data driven as well. We saw that the actual market has been growing and growing and growing over the past couple of years. And you can see that there's golfers like exploding worldwide now. Everyone's playing the game, and my personal relationship with the sport is extremely, extremely casual. I'm probably the biggest like I fit the hazard hunter definition at its fullest extent, whereas Michael, I'm speaking on behalf of my co-founder, he has been playing for I believe the good part of over 10 years, and even so, it's a challenging sport for himself, and I think for everybody. It doesn't matter how many games you play, there's always improvements to be made.
Yeah, totally. So I guess my interest level there is kind of you're talking about, getting into the sport from that. You're looking at the sport with very fresh eyes. You're not, Caden, Tanner, and I. We've all played since we were super super young, and so we have a very deep and kind of seen the game progress. As you look at the game and you're coming into it, what do you think made it kind of right for, like, you mentioned like skateboarding as an example. Like, what about the game do you think has made it so right for kind of that trend that you mentioned, that got you guys so interested in it?
Yeah, I think it's the other brands that are within the space, and perhaps something that they're not bringing to to how people express themselves. We can, and in our own way as well. And um, in terms of like where I see golf today as to where it was, I think with how visible um, people are with what they do with their lives, and um, it requires, I guess, people to express themselves in a different way, right? Like hitting the ball at the range, or hitting the ball on the course. Uh, is You can't really show that off all too much, or well, when you do show yourself off, it's in what you're wearing and the statement that you're making with your dress.
Mhm. I'm curious, you guys say that you have a long history of being interested in fashion and things like that. What are some of the early inspirations that you guys pulled from in starting Hazard Hunters?
Yeah, so if you're familiar with skate culture from the early 2000s and even the 90s, and with brands in general, like the hundreds, and um, even cultural artists like cause, etc. There's an affinity that people have with um, nostalgia and cartoons, and that's sort of where we kind of drew our inspiration from. How do we create a brand around um, people's, I guess, connection with potentially something that is from their past, right? And that is one of the core aspects of like our main character, Hunter. If you look closely at Hunter, he's actually a refurbished version, if you will, of like Snoopy, but his head's in the shape of a golf iron. So that association is made without you even directly thinking that it's Snoopy, and that's our kind of connection there to um, potential nostalgic roots that people might hold in cartoons, and um, cartoons association with cool streetwear.
Nice. And Mitch, did you have any early inspirations growing up?
Unmute myself. No, I think he's absolutely nailed it. He's hit it on. I suppose the name itself is one of the names we had for our group chat for the boys when we first started golfing. Was we were the Hazard Hunters, and because we were out there just hacking it up and going all over the place. So the name is there's some inspiration from us just literally out there, yeah, being hazard hunters.
Nice.
Kevin, you kind of talked briefly about like Hunter, the wolf mascot, the main mascot, one of the characters that you guys have. One of the obviously first things that stood out to me about you guys when I saw you was the characters. I think it's pretty unique to your guys' brand. It's pretty unique in the golf landscape. Um, for anybody that's not familiar as well, like even your guys' product photos have like human models wearing the stuff, and then the heads are always covered up by the cartoon characters. So visually, it separates itself quite a bit from the golf landscape, which I think is awesome for you guys. Obviously, a way to stand out. I want to chat about the characters. I know they all have their own personalities as well. You want to kind of give us an overview of who you've got in the lineup now and why they're important and how people can relate to them?
Yeah, for sure. So I guess let's start with Hunter. Hunter's he represents like the cool guy of the group, calm and collected, doesn't really talk much, and is probably the better player of all the characters. And it's like the ideal archetype of what a golf player might want to be, like the cool wolf of the crew. And we have Chippy, who is the more playful, joyful, jolly member of the group who can, make light heart of even the toughest situations. And there's always a member of, the group that brings out a bit of a laugh from everybody when things aren't going too right. That would be Chippy, and Bunky is more of the soft personality of the group. And I guess we wanted to appeal to not only a male audience, but also a potential female audience, which could be interested in the brand, and they may not resonate as heavily with, masculine characters. But that's not to say that Bunky's not a strong character. There's other parts of her personality, her actual physical attributes that we have yet to kind of explore within our universe and show on social media. But she's actually an extremely powerful long driver. That's part of my story with her. So she's a very strong female character, if you will.
And how are you guys going about telling the story of these characters? Like, because when I look at your guys' page, it almost seems like a comic book. Is that the intention? Are you guys, purposely trying to show this progressive story that's happening between these friends?
Yeah, so how we're trying to tell the story as it is right now is definitely through our Instagram and TikTok, posting not only photos but also animations as well, that continues to flesh out the characters. But we've had ideas in our mind of like doing potential small picture books that kind of flesh out the characters even more. I think like part of the inspiration as well, and how storytelling is incorporated in well, not a brand, but in terms of characters on the internet, would be Happy Tree Friends. I don't know if you guys remember Happy Tree Friends.
Yeah.
That's sort of like a more PG vibe of what Happy Tree Friends was, and that's how I see the characters, in a sense.
Well, one of the things that we wanted to kind of ask about is, as you guys have been developing this, obviously, we're keeping a close eye on how the golf industry is improving and how it's growing, local to us and here in the US. What's the golf scene look like out there in Australia for you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I think that the golf world everywhere is benefiting from the last few years where it's blown up, right? And while it's somewhat separated with Live and PGA and all of that, like it's never been a better time for golf. It's never been bigger. I think the Olympics was the perfect example of that. I don't know if you guys watched that final round, but it was like crazy, crazy exciting. Like it was ridiculous. Like anyone that says golf isn't exciting, go watch the final day of the four Olympics. So yeah, Australia has been reaping all the benefits of that. I mean, it's obviously a smaller market compared to like the behemoths of the States, But yeah, we're definitely seeing it grow massively. So yeah, exciting times.
We had another guest on the podcast not too long ago, also from Australia, and he has played golf in a bunch of different spots throughout the world, and he says that if you get out early enough on some of the courses out there, there's actually kangaroos that are out just roaming around on the fairways. Is that something you guys run into as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Especially where I'm from, because we're like, it's a city, it's Canberra, so it's like it's a city, but it's like also quite rural. So there's like heaps of kangaroos in general, everywhere. So the golf courses, big open spaces, they absolutely love it there. And yeah, for me, it's not even early mornings. Any time of the day, you'll be walking through a pack of kangaroos on some courses.
That's incredible.
That leads me to a question that I have, which is obviously we just chatted about the characters. You've got the 3 characters right now. I'm just curious, like down the road, are you guys looking to add any new members to the group? And also, why don't you have a kangaroo in there yet?
And to answer that question, you're probably going to see some new characters soon. I don't know if you guys know the Bogey Boys.
Bogey, uh-huh.
Bogey Wogey Boys. They're from the LA area. We're doing a collaborative drop with them on a T-shirt. I believe in the next
Or in next month sometime.
Yeah. And we have characters made for them as well, being introduced to the universe. So we do have secondary characters, which we'll be introducing for collaborations and allowing the universe to build itself from there. As for the kangaroo question, oh, fuck, that's a good one, because we haven't even mentioned the kangaroo in our meetings, right? And now that you've mentioned it, maybe we need a villain, the evil kangaroo.
Well, I was just gonna ask, if you're gonna introduce a kangaroo to the universe, like, you mentioned the other ones, like a long driver, like what would the characteristics of a kangaroo in this universe look like? Is it villain? Is it evil?
Yeah, I mean, we'd have to explore it. Villain could be fun.
Yeah, at the moment, like the villain that we're thinking of is like an eagle with a digital eye that can that acts as a rangefinder. So yeah, it was like a red eye. I think you can see it on the website on the about page. It's over Michael's head as the head cover, like his head cover. That's going to be a character that we introduce later on as well as one of the villains.
Yeah, so there's obviously a lot of fun we can have with it.
I'm trying to think of what like a villain on the golf course would do, and I think like
fox stealing the ball.
They don't pull the pin when you chip, like.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
it's the old guy that gets mad at you for playing music or for playing too slow.
Tuck your shirt in.
That's definitely who it is.
Yeah. So when we did our Hong Kong pop-up, we introduced a new character as well. They're Dragon Fang Long, which you may have seen on some of our socials. So there's definitely a lot of opportunity within the world to expand the characters and introduce new characters, when it seems fit.
Yeah, and I guess it will help us kind of express what our core characters are about and how they interact with different personalities.
That's cool.
I was going to say, when we do a pop-up later in the year, most likely in LA, there very well may be a special friend from the States making an appearance.
There we go. We'll look forward to that. That's awesome. One of the other questions I wanted to ask is, obviously when we think about the world of professional golf and Australia specifically, Jason Day is, a hometown hero, performing really, really well on the tour. But one of the things that's interesting about him is he's got his sponsorship with Malma, with a streetwear brand, and is wearing more of a streetwear brand on the tour. Is that something you guys have aspirations to do long term? Is to maybe get into the game of the professional world and try and sponsor some athletes, or what's kind of the long term aspirations of where you want to take the brand?
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good one, and I think Jason Day is he's leading the charge, and I guess, communicating that people should look good while they play. And as for our aspirations, if the number makes sense is sort of the answer to that as well, because these athletes cost an arm and a leg to be sponsoring. And I think, like with Melbourne and Jason Day, perhaps there's like some sort of conversation Melbourne had with Nike or some sort of dealings there that we don't know about, but he's not a very cheap athlete to be putting on your brand for sure. And us just starting out, of course, eventually that we want to aim for the highest mountain that we can, find, and obviously on a pro tour.
If you guys could go after any golfer, right? There's no limits. Who do you feel like would fit the Hazard Hunters brand best, and who would you guys prefer to have wearing the brand?
Yeah, I mean, that's a tough one. There's so many different options, right? I mean, Cam Smith, obviously, from the Aussie perspective, we'd have to go Cam Smith. We're Aussies, he's Aussie, the mullet flowing, like, bring back the mullet, like, him winning the British Open, yeah, give us that Cam Smith. Otherwise, probably Joel Darwin. He's just like, you gotta love him, right? Like, and I think he's also like the player on tour, which represents, I think, the average Joe player more so than maybe many of the professional tours. Exactly, right? So I'd say probably one of those two would be.
Sorry, is that the bloke from Full Swing?
Yeah.
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 I know what you're talking about. Cool.
Yeah. So I think either of those two.
I think those are great answers. The last question that I had for you guys is, that's still crazy that you guys have only been selling for 5 months. I'm still on that. So what I want to know is, like, I think you guys have done a fantastic job up until this point. You guys are talking about season 1, getting ready to switch over into season 2. What is the plan going forward? What are the goals going forward? Where do you guys want to see this thing as the years continue to pass?
So obviously, yeah, as you said, season 1 we dropped earlier in March, it was about 5 months ago. Since then, we've been working heavily on season 2, which will drop next year, and also some drops in between then. So coming up very, very soon, end of August, we'll be dropping what we're calling our Chippy collection, or the Beware of Chippy collection. So when you looked at our first season, it was quite heavily hunter focused. A lot of the designs, revolved around hunter. So for this next drop at the end of August, we'll be dropping a Chippy collection, which is designs focused around Chippy. And we've taken some feedback on some of the other stuff from season 1. That some of our t-shirts were a little bit too heavy to play golf in and for like LA summer and that sort of stuff. So we've reduced the weight of our t-shirts a little bit while keeping that premium quality there. So keep an eye out for that at the end of August. And then following that one, we'll drop what we call the Bunky collection. Also, we'll do the Bogey Wogie Boys drop not long after that, which will be our first collaboration effort where we partner with one of our influencers to do a specially designed tee just for their audience as well. And then just after that, to round up the year, we'll drop the Bunky collection, which will round out sort of the 3 main characters that we've announced so far and their collections. As sort of the base point before we move on to season 2, which, as what Kev said earlier, season 2, if you think what we've done now is good, just wait for season 2, because there's a lot of learnings that you get from starting a new brand and launching it, and you're going, okay, well, this is what we would have done differently. Like, yeah, there's a lot of learnings that we're taking from this season into not just this drop coming up now, but season 2 especially.
Yeah, I think in terms of like where we're going and season 2, we're going to be sharpening up our overall direction a lot more and be more, I guess, intentional with the story that we're telling, not only through our marketing and characters, but also through the clothing as well, and understanding where when you see our clothing, there will be no question as to where the inspiration is from, and also it should resonate with our core demographic as well. And just to I guess tease it, like we're going to be going more on the early 90s and not early 90s but the 90s, and that's the era that we'll be focusing on and the aesthetic that we'll be exploring within season 2.
That's exciting. I want to know if you're able to share, are there any, I mean, you've already given us a little teaser, so I appreciate that. That was my follow-up question. But my follow-up question to my follow-up question is, are there any pieces that you guys are specifically excited for that are coming up that we maybe haven't seen yet?
I mean, if I'm speaking personally, it's the hats. I think, we can easily admit that we maybe missed the mark on the caps for our season one, and the hats that we're bringing out coming forward is something we're really, really excited about. So for me, it's probably the caps.
Yeah, for me, I think from a technical perspective, just in terms of improving our fabrics and exploring potential performance clothing as well, so that it's not only catering to a very, very casual player, but also more seasoned players who are looking for their next serious golf polo. I hope that's that kind of sums the what I'm excited about.
I think so. I think that's great. This little part right here we'll cut out. But what I usually ask at the beginning, and I forgot to ask, is there anything specific that you guys want to either highlight or talk about on this episode before we head out? I would love to pose or offer up any question that you guys specifically have that you would like to spotlight or talk about, if there's anything.
I think we covered a lot of the bases, unless you have anything that comes to mind, Mitch.
No, yeah, I think we covered all the bases that I can think of. We covered
Everything.
The pop-up. Keep an eye out for a pop-up out later this year in LA. Chippy collection dropping. Yeah, I think we got most of it.
Yeah, Mitch dropped our timeline. So.
Perfect. We love the juicy bits that we can share with people. Obviously, guys, if there's anything that was chatted about that we need to edit out, let us know.
All good. I was actually wondering, what would you guys be excited for from our brand? And that's our question to you. It would be interesting to hear what you'd like to see.
I think it's cool that you guys are doing like individual drops per character, almost like this is their style in a drop, or this is their kind of own individual brand within a drop. I think that's a really cool concept, because that was one of the things that I was just noticing as I was going through, and obviously it sounds like you guys have those planned out. But yeah, you're telling the story of these 4 characters, or however many are going to be introduced. And that was kind of my first question, is like, all right, you have hunters in there, where are the other guys? And so that was kind of the thing that I was looking forward to, which it sounds like you guys are rolling out here shortly.
Yeah, I'm definitely in the same boat. I think for me, it's the opportunity of the characters gives you a really strong chance to tell stories. And that's what I think, as we've been talking with a lot of our clients and people that we're working with, like, the story always wins, whether that's more than the content being high quality or whatever. Like, the story you're telling is the most important thing. And so with that being the case, each of these characters give you a chance to tell another unique story. And so the brand, while it does have its core and it has its drive, it has all this kind of different stuff, and it can branch and reach new people that maybe other brands can't do, because you guys have created this ecosystem that can feature any golfer, any experience, and you guys can get pretty granular with it and match the drops to that. So I think it's a unique way to look at the marketing and look at the storytelling of the space, but I'm excited to see how it grows and, start buying the comic books.
Go to the movie theater and watch the cinematic universe unfurl.
Exactly. The Hazard Hunters cinematic universe.
I think I have thoughts pretty similar to these guys. I mean, the first time that I saw your guys' stuff, I just purely thought the designs were cool just from the beginning. I was like, oh, I like the character stuff. I've got a little cause statue up there. So just visually, I thought it was kind of cool. And then what surprised me and what I thought was really smart from your guys' end is when I investigated a little bit further and I went to your website and I saw that you had multiple characters, and not only that, but that the characters had like personalities and they had like different qualities and different attributes that were unique to them. Like you fleshed them out. They didn't only look cool, but they were like, personable. And I think from, like Dane was saying, from like a marketing and a brand perspective, like super smart, because you guys can keep Hazard Hunters, obviously, but you can create these almost sub brands with the characters that appeal to different demographics and different people through them championing it. I think you're going to be able to reach like much wider audience base because of that. When you want to, you can do like some plug and play stuff. Once you've figured out like what resonates with certain people and what maybe doesn't with others, you can tweak. And so I think just the character aspect is so different, and I think will be a really good marketing tool for you guys going forward. I'm excited to see how it continues to branch out. And I'm glad we were able to talk about it, because as I was looking at the site and I saw the 3 main characters there, I'm like, there's no way they're stopping with these guys. So I'm glad to hear you're not, and that there's more coming. And I think like sky's the limit with what you guys have going on as you continue forward. So excited to see how it continues to branch out. And what I would like to see too is you talk about maybe some of the characters appealing to, let's say, like a lighthearted, funny, casual demographic. It would be interesting to see like a character that appeals maybe more to like the serious competitive player. And it would be interesting to see what products feature which characters, because they might differ a little bit between those demographics. So be interested to see what you guys do going forward. Well, again, guys, I appreciate the time. I know the time difference is pretty spread out between us. And so, Mitch, thanks again for sticking with me and helping get this put together. Honestly, absolute pleasure to chat with you guys this morning. Like, you guys are naturals at this, so that was a lot of fun. Glad we were able to answer some of the questions that we had. I'll continue to chat with Mitch to keep you guys updated on when this will be posted and released. And then what we typically like to do is collab post on them. And so if that's interesting to you guys, I can work with Mitch to get that set up. But at the very least, I'll let you guys know when this is coming out. And if there's anything that we can pull from this to give to you guys, let us know as well. If there's anything that you want to use, obviously more than welcome to do so. So